Good evening to all the viewers who watch this program in the English language. Let me start with sharing the link in Telegram for all those who want to watch the program live. Let me just go to my Telegram. And that way I can also view it through Telegram into YouTube. And I will also say hello to everybody who will text in the live text of this program. And then we will start with sharing of our screen. We have a few different topics that we're going to cover in this program. It's important for you, the English-speaking viewers, because I am pretty sure nobody else talks about it. Nobody else will give you the knowledge of it. And very little people actually know what we are going to be talking about on all the topics that we're going to cover tonight in detail, to the point of being able to tell you. A lot of people don't know it, and it will be interesting, I'm sure, for the Persian community that just listened to this in Persian, and also for you, the English viewing community that is going to be hearing it today or in years to come, if YouTube doesn't take this program down or close our channel. And my favor that I got to ask all of you in the English community viewing this program is, when you hear it, please share it with others so that we can enlighten as many people as possible, because you will learn a lot and you might even laugh a lot. But definitely you will be learning and getting enlightened on topics that you might be familiar with, but not have the information that will be shared tonight with you on. First, we're going to start with what happened from the time of World War II. You see, during World War II, the Allies invaded Iran when Iran was a neutral party. Iran, the country, the Kingdom of Iran under Reza Pahlavi, was a neutral country. Did not want to go to war with the West, did not want to go to war against Turkey, Japan, and Germany either. They wanted to be at peace with everybody. Just like United States tried to stay out of the war and not pick a fight with anybody. It's interesting that when it came to United States, they got attacked by Japan, which forced them to get in the war. In the case of Iran, Iran got invaded. One day, the Russians and the British decided they want to invade Iran on the excuse that because there are foreign people working in Iran, and the foreign people are from England, France, Germany, Russia, and everywhere else, that England has a problem. Churchill himself has a problem with that. And he wants all the Germans to be kicked out of Iran, lose their jobs, and return back home so that they can turn into further soldiers of Germany to go to war, to prolong this World War II that Churchill is fighting from the other side. The same Churchill everybody is saying is such a good man. I see him in the same light as I do Hitler. No difference. They're both the same. They're both warmongers. They both love to invade countries that have no problems with them. They both like to pick on the weaker countries. And they picked on Iran. They invaded Iran. In order for Iran to stay one whole country and not be split into further pieces like the Russians and the British were doing for well over 200 years prior to World War II and ongoing, they decided to come to a conclusion with the king of Iran, Reza Pahlavi. Reza Pahlavi agreed that he'll be ousted. He will no longer be the king of Iran. Rather, he will put his own son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, as the new king of Iran, in order to keep Iran as a whole. During this time, a lot of people from the West, even United States of America, came to Iran. A lot of the people that came from the West came to steal. They were looking for historical artifacts that they can put in museums around the world. They were looking for historical books on culture. They were looking for pictures of people so they can put it in the encyclopedia to kind of show Iranians and Persians as something like an animal that you would see inside of an encyclopedia, where you look and you see a picture of a lion and it says, this is a lion, and then it gives you a brief explanation underneath what a lion is. If you go and you find those old historical encyclopedias, you will find that there is a picture of some Persians from the time of the Qajar, and that underneath you'll write a little bit about what a Persian is, like as if we're some kind of a beast animal from the jungles of Uganda or something. Okay, they put us in the same category as like a rhinoceros or a tiger from China, or stuff like that. One of the books which came into the hands of the Americans, and more importantly, Disney, was a book called 1001 Nights Story. Now, a lot of people don't know what this is. Some think it's an Arab book. It's not an Arab book. It's an Iranian book. Arabs like to take claim to everything that was done by Iranians. Iranian scientists turn into Arab scientists and Islamic scientists. The Arabian horse, which is really comical because, newsflash, horses don't live in deserts. Horses need hay and a lot of water. They cannot survive in the deserts of Arabia. It should be an Arabian camel, not Arabian horse. The Arabian horse is also the Iranian horse, but they've claimed it as theirs. Or, for example, Arabica coffee, but coffee doesn't grow in the desert. Dates grow in the desert. The Arabican coffee is actually Turkish. So the Arabs love to take claim for names that don't belong to them. Like they call the Persian Gulf, Arab Gulf, Gulf, State Gulfs, Gulf. Like as if they're going to play golf with Donald Trump in a golf course. But the actual name of that Gulf is the Persian Gulf. I mean, you don't call the Gulf of Mexico Gulf. Huh? You don't call Thunder Bay, Bay. You don't call Hudson Bay, Bay. You don't call the St. Lawrence River, River. You don't call the Atlantic Ocean, Ocean. You don't call the Pacific Ocean, Ocean. You don't call the Indian Ocean, Ocean. You don't call the Red Sea, Sea. You don't call the Mediterranean Sea, Sea. So why is it all of a sudden when you get to the Persian Gulf, all of a sudden you can drop the name Persian and just call it Gulf? What does that mean? Doesn't have a name? I mean, we gave everything a name. This one doesn't have a name? Of course it has a name. So there is a problem there between Arabs anyway. However, Disney got a hold of this. This book is regarding When the Mongols under Genghis Khan attacked Iran and took over the Arab world, which had already taken over Iran, which was Persia. At that time, one of the children of Genghis Khan decided he wanted to have many concubines from Iran. One of these concubines decided she would not sleep, have sexual intercourse with one of these kids. Instead, every single time that this Genghis Khan prince came to sleep with this woman, she would tell him a story. The story would be so long that this prince would fall asleep. Hence, this went on for 1,001 nights, at the end of which she was thrown out from the concubines of this prince and let to go live her own life. Because the prince decided it's better to give up. You're never going to get this. Every night there's a story. Every night the story is so long that he falls asleep. Amongst the stories that were in this 1,001 night book that you've heard of, but you don't know where it came from, is the story of Mowgli. You know, Mowgli lived in a jungle. Mowgli was a little Indian boy that was raised with wolves, and then Mowgli decided to kill Shere Khan. You know, Shere does not mean tiger, as some people will tell you. Shere means lion. But in India, the biggest cat family animal is the tiger. They do have lions, but they're known for having tigers. So the story has been told that this tiger, his name was Lion Khan. Why Khan? Because Khan is the word that the Mongols used as king. Hence, Genghis Khan, what you call Khan. So Mowgli Khan is fighting, Mowgli is fighting the Khans, the Lion Khan, which is the tiger here. His name is Lion Khan, the king of the jungle. This tiger is Khan. In the story, Khan is the Mongol invader who's now taking control of everything, and he wants to kill the righteous one, which was Mowgli. But of course, you don't have the foundation background, and you don't understand what the eras of the past we're talking about. You also don't understand that in today's society, this would be a very racial movie because Mowgli is also an Indian. And the reason why he's Indian is because from way back in the day, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, India was not one whole country like it is today. It was multiple states. Each one had its own kings, and they used to have fights amongst each other, but they had one common religion of Hinduism. There were other religions there, but they were mostly Hindu. Hence, they're known as Hindi, which is now translated to Indi, which is India, okay? So when you say India, you're going back to Hindi, which is going all the way to the religion of Hinduism. Okay? They were not one whole country. They became a unified country during the time that they were under the rulership of England. Until then, India was not one unified India. Okay, that's fact number one. There were a lot of Indians, even till today, that live by the jungle. They work in the jungle. They go and they bring down honey from wild bees in the jungle, and they get eaten by the tiger. You see a lot of that happening at the border of India and Bangladesh, where there's the Bengal jungle, and you see a lot of people get eaten by the Bengal tiger that attacks on both the Bangladeshi side and the Indian side. So the story of Mowgli, the Indian that was in the jungle, that went to fight against the Khans of the Mongols, you guys missed the whole boat. Now, they took stuff out of that when they made that movie. Another movie that you've heard of, probably a lot of you haven't seen it because it's so old, and this time came from 1001 book, but it was about the Mongols and the Arabs. It was Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves of Baghdad. Similar to Mowgli, Ali Baba was the son of a king, so he's a prince. But because his family got killed and the father got killed and he was running away, he eventually became friends with a bunch of thieves. And the thieves then used to work for him, and they were trying to steal from the government to give to people, but they were stealing from people too. And eventually he wanted to take over the government and kick out the Khans, which are the Mongols, and he was trying to take the country back. This was turned into a film, and then later, on the inspirations of this film, you got another film called Robin Hood, which tried to make this less Middle Eastern and more European. And Robin Hood was then created with the same mindset. Steal from the rich and the wealthy, the government, and give it to the poor, and so on and so forth, and on and on and on. So you see, all of that's been inspired. Now, we have to say this because apparently Islamic Republic of Iran is trying to make a sequel. And what they're doing is they're coming up with the next volume in the series. Of course, this is Islamic Republic of Iran. But they're calling it not Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves of Baghdad anymore, because that's already claimed. So now they're going to come up with one that's called Ali Mullah, because, you know, the Islamic Republic of Iran has a lot of mullahs, clergymen. Ali Mullah and the 40 pickpocketers of Africa. That's the sequel movie. And I'm going to play for you the trailer of this movie so that you can all see what the trailer of this movie is like. Okay. Islamic Republic of Iran has been in Nigeria for over 44 years now, since 1979. And they're working very hard trying to create a terrorist organization there that they can dismantle people. But the terrorist organization that they're building, a lot of its members are also pulling double duty because they also have jobs as pickpocketers. They're not all the best. Some of them are educated, some are not. In this video, we will see what happens to this Iranian mullah that decided to go to Nigeria and how they treated him. Look, everybody. Look, the guy, he's got his hands deep around the waist of this Iranian mullah, and he's like patting him down everywhere, trying to look for the pockets. Okay, and this mullah, like you see right here, he's trying to hug him, and his face gives you this idea that he's trying to think, why this guy's touching me all over the back and the hips and the, you know, like, what is he looking for? Why is he touching below the belt areas and the back? And is he looking for pockets? What's going on? There's the first guy. And then here's the second guy. The second guy just jumped in, and again, same thing. The hands are down, you know, instead of like the mullah hugging up, they're hugging down, you know, they're digging for something, right? And if you notice, the second guy, he held his cell phone himself in his hand because he's used to, you know, when someone hugs that close, they might go for his pockets too. So he's holding the cell phone in his hand so that, you know, You can't pickpocket him. He's smart. Here's the third guy. Let's look at what the third guy does. As you can see, he's going for the same pockets, but this time the mullah caught on, now by number 3, he's catching on. So mullah is grabbing the guy by the hand like this, trying to hold him from going deep in, He figured out they're trying to pickpocket him. And the fourth one, when it reached the fourth one, the mullah already came up with a mindset of a plan. Instead of letting them go deep, before they go deep, he puts out his hand for a handshake, to try to hold their hands because he's afraid what they're going to do. And he's trying to back himself from them, but they keep coming in close, in personal space area, That's how they pickpocket, they get close in and then you can't see them, you can't tell where they're going, their hand goes all over the place. Mullah's catching on, he's starting to understand what's going on. And as you can see, he now throws the hand with everybody. Yes, everybody. Now you learned about the significance of the mullahs and what the mullahs will do, and this new series that's going to be coming out soon called Ali Mullah and the 40 Pickpocketers of Africa, That will be coming out soon. Hopefully soon you will have it on your screen, this page that we had shared with you. And we will go to the next story. The next story is serious. We're not joking no more. The Ali Mullah and the 40 Pickpocketers of Africa. I mean, it was funny. We intended it to be something that would make you smile from the dumb actions of the mullahs of Iran, where they don't know what they're doing. But, Africans, apparently, they know better. So now that the screen is open for you, the next link is from the news that comes out of Nigeria regarding pickpocketers. This is coming from the city of Lagos. And Lagos is the capital of Nigeria. Right? And the police command on Tuesday that we arrested an 18-year-old pickpocketer. They talk about how much they earn, different pickpocketers that they've caught. I mean, there's a whole team. It's not just the pickpocketer. You see, they target mostly for cell phones, wallets, jewelry. But when they get your cell phone, for example, they have people that are professional in rebooting your cell phone, resetting it, removing the SIM cards, putting new SIM cards, making sure it's adaptable with the telephone companies, making sure everything's good. Kind of getting rid of scratches and cracks and, repairing whatever needs to be repaired. They then give that to the store that's going to sell it. There's a team involved. Okay? So it's not just one guy. Like when they catch a pickpocketer, they say we caught a pickpocketer, but then they interview the pickpocketer and they ask all kind of details so they can catch the whole team. Okay, they're after everybody. So that's why you saw, like, they were trying to pick this mullah's pocket. These are the same guys, okay? This is the picture of the guy. That's his car. He was able to buy a car from pickpocketing. These are some of the stuff that they caught him with, the phones and the wallets that they see him do. But now we get to more important news from Nigeria. The news of Islamic Republic of Iran. You see, Islamic Republic of Iran is a cancer on the whole entire world. The whole world. I mean, there's no place on this earth that's safe from Islamic Republic of Iran and its harboring, aiding, producing of terrorists. Unfortunately for the people of Nigeria, Islamic Republic of Iran has shoved its tentacles into Nigeria and is committing all kinds of crimes on the poor innocent people of Nigeria. This one is coming to you from BBC. You know, the one that the Persians call Ayatollah BBC, because BBC actually was one of the main news agencies 45 years ago that helped overthrow the kingdom of Iran, oust Muhammad Reza Pahlavi, and put in power the Indian-born Ruhollah al-Khomeini to come into power, a Sikh man who pretended to be a Shia Muslim, says he's from the family of the Prophet of Islam, to come in power over the Iranians and dismantle, destroy, commit genocide on Iranian people for the last 44 years by placing in charge a government under the name of Islamic Republic of Iran to destroy and dismantle a whole nation. But what they didn't realize is that this cancer that they wanted for Iran also turned into a cancer for the rest of the world. Terrorist attacks throughout Argentina, Germany, Greece, all over the Middle East, and now, as you can see, throughout Africa, mostly in Nigeria. Nigeria's government has taken controversial decision to ban pro-Iranian Shia group, accusing it of unleashing violence and being an enemy of the state to Nigeria. The movement is called the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, IMN for short. The problem is, IMN decides that they need to be a violent group that goes around killing others. Now, for this, you need a little bit of a history on Nigeria. You see, Nigeria used to be over 60% Christian and less than 40% Muslim. But over time, the Muslims as a whole, they've been committing genocide on Christian Nigerians. The problem is, in Nigeria, you have some big cities, and then you have a lot of small villages in between these cities. And the people that live in these small villages, they're local farmers. You know, they farm for themselves and maybe for the village, but they don't have big farms that can take care of the whole country. Now, if someone from a capital city or big city decides to go down there to buy some vegetables or an animal or something, of course they will sell it, but they don't have that kind of large farming that you would see in other countries, like for example in California, where you would see lots of fruits, or Mexico or Iran or other places that can produce enough fruits to feed the whole nation and abroad and so on and so forth. They don't do that kind of thing, you know. It's smaller family type, tribe type farming and so on. Well, most of these people tend to be Christian. And without bothering anyone, living their life, the Muslims pick a day to attack them. And they come in there killing all the adult males, enslaving the little kids, boy or girls, raping the women and selling them off in different countries, Slavery still continues till today. It's just that you in the West, you don't know about it. You know, people in the West, they jump up and down and they complain that, you know, slavery did this to them and slavery did that to them, and how they're against slavery and they're against this and they're against that and the other. But they don't realize that slavery continues today, but they just don't see it. It's not covered. Why is it not covered, you ask? Well, Muslim countries, number one, don't want to allow Western countries to have free reporting in their countries. So if a reporter wanted to report it, they can't. Number two, a lot of news agencies, they are owned or supported by liberal Democrats, and it is against their agenda to make this public, because they make money with these Muslim countries and they don't want that money to get hurt. You know, the reputation that, you know, they're going to not take the Muslim side can get them banned, and hence they can lose a lot of business of reporting what they want to report from that country. So they rather keep what they can report and not touch this topic. Muslim countries that are Arab, they sell Black people under the name of Haywan. Haywan in Arabic means animal. Now, there's no world law against selling animals. Like, there's no country in the world that says you can't buy and sell animals. For example, in the United States, you can buy a German Shepherd coming from Slovakia or Czech Republic or from Russia. You know, you can buy a cat coming from England. You can buy zoo animals for your zoo from wherever. So if what you're selling is an animal, there's no laws that are universal, international, whatever you want to call them, against that. Therefore, Arabs can label Black human beings as Haywan, meaning animals, and sell them within their own countries. So it's easy. You get someone like a group of terrorists like IMN or Boko Haram. They go and they capture some women. Then they smuggle them into Arab countries, where the Arab Muslim turns around and sells them to other Arab countries under the name of Haywan. And no one will say you can't sell them. This is how they bypass the laws. But no one covers. And if they do, it's very few people that do. It'll be someone like me who covers it. And I know I'll get a lot of blame for it after. Oh, you can't say that about the Arab people. Sure I can. It's the truth. And the truth will set you free. So these people, they go and they attack and they kill and they run amok. They confiscate what they can. The problem is these Shia Muslims in Nigeria are only about between 5 to 17 million people. The Muslim population has now grown to 50% of the country. The Muslim population has reached 100 million. They've killed off a good 10% of the Christian community in order to reach them and become 50-50. The Sunnis don't really care too much about IMN because they know their numbers are much higher, and IMN cannot do too much against the Sunnis but they concentrate more on killing the Christians in the country so that they can make the whole country 100% Muslim. As you know, the president of Nigeria is also a Muslim. He's a Muslim Sunni. But back to this briefing from BBC. They talk about the leader of the IMN, Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaki. Zakzaki, as you know, about 15 years ago or so, roughly around that era, 15, 20 years ago, two of his sons were killed by the National Army of Nigeria due to the terrorism that Zakzaki and his sons were committing. They were out of hand. They needed to be controlled. Zakzaki was thrown into prison for a while. Islamic Republic of Iran did everything within their power to try to get him out of prison. Eventually, Zakzaki got sick in prison. They were able to release him so that he can go for treatment in India, paid for, as you guessed it, by Islamic Republic of Iran, so that he can get his medical treatments and whatever he needs and, come back to power. You've seen him many times going, visiting Khamenei, the cockroach of Iran, shaking hands with him in Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran pays on a monthly basis for the livelihood of all these 17 million Shias living in Nigeria. Okay. The same Islamic Republic of Iran does not pay for the livelihood of Iranians living in Iran, but rather supports these Nigerians. Which ones? The ones you saw in the video that were trying to pick the pocket of the Iranian mullah who went over there to see them. That's how they repay him. Instead of being thankful, saying thank you for giving us a monthly salary for being a Shia Muslim, they're trying to pickpocket the guy. Okay. The Islamic Republic of Iran itself is an organization based on theft, smuggling, anything in them that's bad, trafficking of drugs, trafficking of weapons, trafficking of human beings. You name it, Islamic Republic of Iran, if it's bad, they got their hands all the way to their elbow deep in it. Okay. Back in the days in 1979, when Ayatollah Khomeini, Ruhollah Khomeini, was put in power, Jimmy Carter was there as president of the United States, a Democrat, claiming that Ruhollah al-Khomeini will bring peace to the Middle East. And his advisor, you guessed it, none other than Joseph Biden. You know him today as Joe Biden. He was the advisor back then. Another Democrat, mind. They supported, aided, and abetted Khomeini, making him strong so he can make terrorist organizations around the world like Hezbollah of Lebanon, IMN of Nigeria. And after his death, when Khamenei came to power, their names are similar, but they're different. That's Khomeini, this is Khamenei, okay? When Khamenei came to power, it was yet again the same Joe Biden during the Obama eras of 8 years as presidency, where he was the vice president, who aided and abetted Islamic Republic of Iran with the nuclear deal that they were creating, sending planes full of money so that he can then continue creating more terrorist organizations. Not one penny went to the Iranian people. Rather, you have Khatim al-Hezbollah in Iraq, Hashd al-Shabi in Iraq, Fatimiyun in Afghanistan, Zainabiyun in Pakistan, Houthis in Yemen. Oh, yes. Tons and tons and tons and tons of terrorist organizations at the very least, you got 20 of them in Iraq, another 10 to 15 in Syria. The list goes on. I mean, it's not just one or two. Islamic Republic of Iran has been giving birth to terrorist organizations left, right, and center. And it's all been done with the help of Democratic Republic of United States. Every time this Joe Biden comes along, Islamic Republic of Iran becomes more powerful. Hence, when Joe Biden became the president of the United States, you saw that they started their war. All the bans on oil, all the bans on weaponry, any ban on this IRGC, the Sepah movement, it all got lifted. Iran was given free will. Iran then supported other terrorists, including Sunni ones like Hamas, Islamic State, and the list goes on, so they can attack Israel. And then the Houthis decided to attack the shipping industry of the whole entire world by attacking cargo ships, which has got a coalition of 20 countries fighting the Houthis, for example. Beating the drums of war, Iran's Islamic Republic of Iran got themselves in cahoots by putting themselves in the same boat as Russia to attack Ukraine, and they're involved in the war in Ukraine, beating more the drums of World War III. This scenario is going on in none other than Nigeria, as Nigeria will be another one of the areas for this World War III. Currently, they're trying to start a civil war throughout. There's foundations that Islamic Republic of Iran created in Nigeria, like a foundation called Fudiya Foundation. If you're wondering where this Fudiya is coming from, Fudiya is going to come from Fatima. There's some names that Islamic Republic of Iran really likes. They got Fatimiyun, the terrorist organization. They got Fatamat, and turns into Fudiya. They've created, as they say, 360 primary and secondary schools. If only they were really schools. You see, Islamic Republic of Iran loves to use the name school for stuff that are not schools. This is an Islamic school, meaning when you go to the school from the very young age, when you go to grade 1 till 12, they work on your mind. They brainwash you in this school that your end goal in life is to go and commit a terrorist act, kill yourself in the name of Islam, in defending the Prophet and his family. And who does the money get to when you do this act and attack a place? Islamic Republic of Iran. Khamenei, the cockroach, decides to put the money in his pocket, but you and your family should spill your blood so that he can continue to reap the rewards of what you did. That is what gets taught in these 360 schools in Nigeria, unfortunately, for the people of Nigeria. If you go further down, you will find that this report talks about, despite maintaining a lightly armored Hezbollah-like guard corps, the Shia militia IMN in Nigeria has weaponry similar to Nigeria, but a little bit lighter in armor, missile doesn't need to go so far because you're shooting it in the same country. You're not going across the border. You can just drive up to the city you want and shoot the missiles. Trafficking of armored weapons to terrorists is a way that Islamic Republic of Iran can make a lot of money. But unfortunately, these terrorists in Nigeria get these weaponry for free. Islamic Republic of Iran pays for it. They also have a newspaper that is pro-Khamenei and pro-Khomeini, paid for by Islamic Republic of Iran. The work done by this newspaper is to brainwash the people that read it and how great of a person Khamenei is. They don't tell you that Khamenei is committing genocide on the Iranians. They don't tell you that the Iranians are out in the garbage cans, dumpster hopping for food because they can't afford to put anything on their plates. They don't tell you that Islamic Republic of Iran abducts little babies in Iran, young girls, and sells them in Arab countries. They don't tell you any of those things. No, they can't tell you that. But in these kind of newspapers, they will talk about how Khamenei is standing up to the West, to the great Satan America, and to the small Satan Israel. And Khamenei is going to bring the whole world under the bandwagon and flag of Islam, and everyone's going to become Shia, and how this is going to happen, and that is going to happen. They tell you all kinds of stuff like that. Propaganda. Because of actions like that, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari has banned IMN and has said the reason for it is they've been taken over by extremists. Whenever you see extremists used like this for Muslims nowadays, that's because politically everyone's gone woke and they don't want to say the word terrorist, so they take out terrorist and put in extremists. Okay. And now that we said that, we have a video for you from one of the officials in the Islamic government of Iran. And he is going to explain some stuff about the Persian New Year. Okay. Persian New Year is a new year that's been going on for thousands upon thousands of years. It can go all the way back to about 10,000 years ago, before Zoroastrianism, the religion. We had Persian New Year. But the gentleman you're going to listen to, and I say that loosely, his name is Raifipur. Raifipur, a lot of people say that his mother had cheated on his father with Yasser Arafat when Yasser Arafat came to Iran 45 years ago or so to meet with Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini over funding of terrorists to attack Israel. And we believe that they look alike. I mean, the two of them look almost exactly alike. And so a lot of people think that his father is Yasser Arafat. Raifipur had a lot to say about the Iranian New Year and wanted to chastise it, make fun out of it. The video is in Persian. So as it plays, I'm going to stop it for you and translate for you what it says in Persian so that you will have an understanding of what it is in English. And then we're going to answer his video. Some of it I'll answer while the video is going on. Other portions I will answer for you Later on, when we go back to the writing piece that I have put together for you, so you can have a further broader understanding. So to do that, allow me to share with you the video. And once I see it on your screens, I will play it and stop it and translate it, and we'll go further on from there. You should have it shortly. All right, let's continue.
ما بی ارزه‌ایم، اینقدر غیرت نداریم.
He says, we, meaning the Iranian people, we are useless people. And then he shows his index finger and says, we don't have this much, like half of a finger of self-respect. Okay.
یه عید نوروز میاد تیکه پاره میکنه خودمونو.
He says, the celebrations of, and he puts an Arabic word Eid in front of it, which is not a Persian word. Eid is the holiday type celebration. Nowruz is a Persian word meaning new day. It's a celebration for a new day. Okay. So he says, when the new day comes and we want to celebrate, we rip ourselves apart. Oh, wow, we ripped ourselves apart. Let's see what else he says.
که حالا چی شده؟ زمستون شده بهار.
That what has happened? That winter has turned into spring because New Year's Day in Iran, Nowruz, is on the first day of spring. So he says we rip ourselves apart because winter turned into spring. Oh.
درک.
And then he says, to hell. Winter turned into spring? To hell.
بهارم میشه تابستون.
And then he says, spring will turn into summer.
و به کجا برمیخوره؟
And then he says, what does all that matter? Where is it going to go? What's going to happen? What?
به تعداد عمرتون این بهارا دیدید و چی شده؟
He's yelling at the people. He says, for as long as you've been alive, you've seen these springs. What happened?
من مخالفش نیستم این سله ارهام، این خونه ها رو تمیز کردن، اینا رو ما که عالیمونه.
Then he says, I'm not against some of the traditions that people do for the New Year's, like they clean their house and, you know, they clean themselves. And he goes, I understand that part. Oh, he understands. This guy, the Joker of Iran, understands.
اما میخوام بگم خب که چی مثلا؟
But he wants to say, like, well, what? For what? What's going to happen? I mean, what?
مثلا یه صدای همه منتظر دیدی یه توپی میخواد در بشونه.
He says, you know, they're all standing there waiting. You know, they're waiting as if a ball is going to go in a net or something, you know. Everyone's waiting. Everyone's
یه همه بشینید حتما بعد اول سفره باش. بعد یه دریوریایی هم درست کردن. هر کاری انجام بدی تا آخر سال همون کارو میکنی.
And he says everyone has to sit by the table where the food is because you're waiting for the new year to come and then you eat. And they've made up all these mumbo jumbo fake ideas. Like, for example, he said, giving an example, that if a person goes to the washroom to relieve themselves, call of nature, and then the whole year they're going to be just doing that. They're going to just sit by the washroom the whole year. He's saying this in a mosque, by the way.
یارو مثلا تو مسترا گیر کرده لابد تا آخر سال میخواد بره مسترا.
And the people laugh because The Muslims that are there, they think this guy's knowledgeable. So they think he made a joke. So they're all laughing.
بشید چه همه منتظر نفسا در سینه هست میخواد بوم سال 1390 زهر ما.
And then he's making fun of the people. Oh, you just sit there. They sit there. They hold their breath. I doubt anyone's holding their breath. They're sitting there. They're sitting there. Oh, waiting for the time so that they can change, so they can say it's the next year. And then he's cursing it.
اما من براتون چندین روایت بیارم که امام رضا فرمود که روز قدیر خونه‌هاتون رو تمیز کنید.
But now he wants to bring for you traditions from Ali al-Rada, the 8th Imam of the Shias, that you should instead go and celebrate a day called Qadir Khum, which these guys call Eid Qadir. Okay, he wants you to go and celebrate Eid Qadir.
روز قدیر لباس قشنگتون رو تنتون کنید.
You should wear your best clothes on the day of Qadir.
روز قدیر تو خیابون دارید راه میرید لبخند بزنید بگن امروز متفاوته.
When you walk on the day of Qadir, you should be smiling so people can say, oh, this is a special day.
یعنی اصل عید ما عید قدیر بود.
And then he wants to say, our real day of celebration is the day of Qadir. I mean, Qadir, when is it? From 1,400 years ago? You want to compare this to like a 10,000-year-old thing? So, ladies and gentlemen, remember what he said. He asked a question, important question, you know, very, very important question. He asked you, what does it matter? What does it matter? Huh? Winter turned into spring. What does it matter? He wants to go kill someone. He's so upset. What does it matter? Winter turned into spring. Why are you celebrating? What does it matter? Well, for those of you who don't know, if you ask an Iranian today, what is the semblance behind celebrating the 1st of spring? Well, why not the 1st of summer? Why not the 1st of fall? Why not the 1st of winter? Why the 1st of spring? Well, the Iranian will tell you because winter celebrated death, whereas the first day of spring celebrates life. This is the day when the trees grow their leaves again, the flowers bloom, you know, there's food for the animals, and by return, there will be food for us as well. This is what makes everything go. It's the day of life, right? The Iranian will tell you that today. If you ask him further questions, why you celebrate the life, the Iranian would be lost. Majority of them would be lost. They'd be like, and then they'll try to come up with something on their own, but they won't give you a unified answer because they have lost certain things over all these 10,000 years after being invaded by Alexander's Macedonian army with the Greeks, being invaded by the Arabs, being invaded by the Mongols, being invaded again by Russia and England, being invaded again by Arabs. You see, today there is an Arab government in charge. We've lost certain things that we used to know that we no longer know. Unfortunately. But Dr. Musawat knows, and Dr. Musawat will educate you. But before we answer Raifipur's question, why does it matter? Why? I mean, the guy's ready to rip. You see, he didn't even button his shirt all the way up. He's taking it down because he's so hot. He wants to go, you know, he wants to kill. Why does it matter? He's so upset over a day. A day. But to further have an understanding and to educate everyone. That was the Shia Muslim. Now we're going to look at what the Sunni Muslims have to say about the day of Nowruz, the Persian New Year. And then we will come back and answer it all, okay? Part of what we read here will also answer him because, you know, Shia and Sunni, they have a conflict, you know? So a question was asked by an Afghani because it's not just Iranians that celebrate it. Everybody who used to also be Iranian at some point in time that due to the hands, the dirty hands of the Russians and the British were separated from motherland Iran and were made to form new countries, still celebrate. For example, the country of Tajikistan, who speak Persian, they celebrate the New Year. Iranian New Year, Nowruz. The people of Afghanistan celebrate Nowruz, except for the Pashtun. The people of Aravan, which was turned from a province of Iran into a new country called Azerbaijan, even then they couldn't come up with a unique name. They took the name of two other provinces in Iran and they called themselves that, but they were known as Arawan. That's an Iranian land that Russia took from Iran by hook and crook. Okay? They still celebrate Nowruz. Bahrain, the island, which the English took by hook and crook, still celebrate Nowruz. Any case, we have one of them Sunni people from those countries, and they're asking this question from Islam Question Answer Info. And the Sunni Mufti, equivalent of the Maraja in Iran, the Ayatollah al-Uzama, the Grand Ayatollah, not the regular Ayatollah, the Grand Ayatollah, equivalent to them, they're answering, right? The man asks, I was wondering if I can celebrate Nowruz, if it's haram for me to put the Quran, the Islamic book of the Muslims, on the table that we put the Iranian food, because we have something called a hafsin, which means those 7 that the names start with a C sound, sin, and we put them on the table. Now, in English, all of them have a different name. So if you name them, they don't make sense because you'll say, what does that have to do? But in Persian, because all of them start with the sin letter, they're known as the hafsin, and they're put on the table. Okay? So to answer his question, the Mufti is now saying, Nowruz is a Farsi word meaning new day, new day, new day. Okay? This is a Persian festival. The first one to celebrate it is King Jamshid of the Persians. Right here, you will see it. Okay? Then they say that Nowruz was celebrated originally for 5 days. Okay? Not like today, when Nowruz is only 1 day. Used to be for 5 days. They used to stretch it. There is a reason why they used to stretch it. Okay? Then this guy goes and by the research he's done to answer the question that was asked of him, he says, the Coptics of the Egypt. You know, in Egypt, the original people of Egypt, they're not Arab, like you see today. They were Coptic. The Arabs came and they invaded everywhere around them. They invaded Iran and started the genocide in Iran until the Iranians decided, you know, there is a lost hope. If we don't want to die as a whole, we might as well convert to Islam so they don't kill us all. In Egypt, they were Coptic, and the Coptic were Christian, and they killed the majority of them, only leaving like maybe 5 million now. Okay, they attacked Phoenicia, which is the real Palestinians who lived side by side with the Israelis in Israel land. They were given territory by the Israelis to live in Israel, and they called themselves Phoenician. They came from the island of Crete, from Greece. The Arabs killed them all. Today, now the same Arab who killed them back then say that they are the Palestinians, while they do not follow the religion of the Phoenicians, who were the real Palestinians. They don't dress like the Phoenician. They don't speak the same language as the Phoenicians. They don't have the culture of the Phoenician. They don't eat the food of the Phoenicians. Rather, they have the Arabic dress, the Arabic culture, the Arabic food, the Arabic religion, the Arabic language. But somehow they tell you that they are Palestinians, when the real Palestinians have gone extinct due to the same Arabs who now say they are Palestinians. By that account, I'm black and blue, born in Japan, and given birth to in Holland. Oh boy. The Coptic also celebrate New Year's, the Nowruz Day of the Iran. They call it Sham al-Nasim, right? This scholar of the Muslims, Ad-Dahdahabi, says in his book, Tahassuba al-Khasis al-Khamis, in page 46. With regard to Nowruz, the people of Egypt, extremes. They went through extremes to observe this day, celebrate this day. They called it the first day of the Coptic year, just like the Iranians. And the Coptic are Christian. They are amongst the oldest type of Christians. They're not the oldest, but they are amongst the oldest Christians we have up till today. Okay, the Coptics. Why are they celebrating a day that has nothing to do per se with Egyptian culture or the religion of Christianity? Why? Why? What's unique about Nowruz? Is there something that Nowruz has that's connected to Christianity? The end code in the magazine, that's like a booklet magazine that comes out on a monthly basis, Majaliyat al-Jamia al-Islamiyya, issue number 103 and 104. Second, Muslims do not have any festivals which they celebrate except Eid al-Fitr. Remember the Eid that Raifipur is talking about, puts Eid in front of everything. Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Okay? Any other festival other than these are innovated by human beings according to the laws of Islam, and therefore not permissible to be celebrated. In the Sahih books of the Sunnis have 6 books they call Sahih. The Sahih is a Persian word that means correct. Ironically, all 6 of them were also Iranian. We wrote the books for them. What you want? Apparently, 2 of them are Abu Dawood and An-Nasai. And in the books that they wrote, in front of all the traditions coming from the Prophet, all of his sayings, they put a number. You know, it starts from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and continues. Well, in the books of Abu Dawood, the hadith, the tradition, 1134, and also you can find the same one in the book An-Nasai as numbered 1556. Both give you the following tradition. It is said that Anas, who was a companion of the Prophet of Islam, you know, the guy whose name is Qatam, meaning human feces, who then changed his name to the praised one, meaning Muhammad. I mean, the praised one is God. You praise God. Praise the Lord, you say. God. The man named himself God. And Muslims don't understand because, which one of them speaks Arabic? It's not the Pakistani. It's not the Indian. It's not the Afghani. It's not the Iranian. It's not the Tajik. It's not the Uzbek. It's not the Kyrgyzstani. It's not the Azerbaijani. It's not the Turks. It's not all the African Muslims. It's not any of the ones that live in Indonesia or Malaysia or anywhere else. And the ones that live in so-called Arab countries, well, majority of those Arab countries are not even Arab. Iraq is not really Arab. They became Arab today because, they killed everybody who was Babylonian, everybody who was Assyrian. They destroyed them. They made them stop talking in Aramaic. Same with Syria. The language of the Syrians was Syriac. Who speaks that today? They went in there and they committed genocide on them. The Assyrians were all killed. All those people lived peacefully for 2,500 years under the reign of the Persians, speaking their own language, having freedom of their own religions, doing what they want, all put an end to by the Islamic conquests, dismantling, demolishing, committing genocide, rape, pedophilia, you name it, they were doing it. Anyway, back to this story. Anas is saying here that the Prophet told him when they were in the city of Medina, that there's 2 days which the Prophet of Islam would play. He would play, run around, dance, have joy. And he said that these 2 days were with them from the time of Jahiliyyah. Jahiliyyah means from before Islam, when they had a cover on themselves from knowledge, not allowing knowledge to penetrate the people. They're ignorant, in other words. From the time of ignorance, there was 2 days, the same 2 days. Okay? And he says that Allah, the statue God of Islam, he replaced those 2 days from the time of Jahiliyyah with 2 days from the time of Muhammad. Apparently, it's the exact same 2 days, and it has the same name on the 2 days. So what was the significance of taking 2 days out and putting 2 days back in and keeping them the same name? What did it change? Nothing. And those 2 days are Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. And then he continues by telling you that these hadith are classed as sahih. Their ranking is sahih. So no Muslim can come and tell you they are da'if. And da'if, which means weak, is also accepted. But nevertheless, these are sahih. So they're worth more, a lot more than da'if. And to, give it that oomph, they say, approved by Sheikh Albani. In case if you want to know who Sheikh Albani is, during the Ottoman time when they took over parts of Europe, the Ottoman Empire, they took Albania, and Albanians became Muslim from that point on. Well, there was a guy from Albania who went all the way down to Arabia under the time of the Ottoman, which Ottoman ruled that whole region anyway. And he decided to study and become a theology student in Islam, and he became a big sheikh, the mufti of his time, and he wrote a lot of books. One of his books is As-Silsilaha As-Sahiha. Who he wants to talk about the different traditions and events that happen that are all correct. In that book, he also talks about the same hadith. Included under the heading of innovated festivals, Nowruz, Mother Day, Birthday, National Independence Day, and so on. Okay, these are all the festivities and holidays of non-believers. Hence, you're not allowed to take part in them. Nowruz is a Jahili, ignorant festival. Ignorance. People who are of ignorance, the dumb, they celebrate it. It was celebrated by the Persians. The Persians are dumb, according to Islam. Right, people told you to, they're useless. You know, he says that people like me are useless. Muslims call people like me dumb. Where is wokeism for that? Good question, huh? Dr. Musa will ask questions that make people think. Anyway, back to the story here. This was celebrated by Persians before Islam, and it's also celebrated by the Christians. Really? Any Filipinos around? I mean, Filipinos are mostly Christian, except for the South, which is Muslim. Any Filipinos, did you ever remember celebrating Nowruz? What about in Russia, in East Orthodox, any of you East Orthodox Christians, did you remember celebrating Nowruz? What about Europe and the West? Do you remember celebrating Nowruz? I mean, was it a Christian thing that you did? The answer is yes, but you just didn't know because you called it something else. It's a trick question. They're actually correct. You are celebrating Nowruz, but you're celebrating it under a different name. We will get to that. This means that the prohibition on celebrating it is more emphasized, okay, which they couldn't even spell correctly. I mean, they wrote this thing. All these red lines means it's all spelling errors. I just copied it from theirs and brought it down here. Because of what that involves in imitating them. You know, Muslims, they finally agreed that they imitated the Christians and the Persians in creating their own holidays. How you say? Well, they took Eid al-Adha and they made that Eid instead of 1 day, 3 days. They made Eid al-Fitr instead of 1 day into 3 days. Right? They stretched it. Like King of Iran, Jamshid, who stretched this Nowruz day, this holiday day, from 1 day to 5 days. Okay. Abad Dahabi said in his essay, At-Tamak Suk Bis-Sunnah wa al-Tahiri min al-Bida. Okay. The traditions, Sunnah comes from traditions, because Sunnat comes out of Sunnah. So he's talking about the traditions that are created by human beings that are bad. That's why you come up with bidah. Okay. Innovations that people do. That is not from God, from this Allah character that they worship, who's really a statue. But they don't want you to know that. They will tell you, no, he's not, but he is. He totally is. We know this because there is a hadith that they have that when Allah was creating Adam, Satan decided to go inside Adam. He went inside him. How he went inside? Well, I mean, the human anatomy has a hole on one end at the bottom and another hole in the front, and they're connected, you know, and you got your esophagus, and then you eventually go to your stomach, and then you go to your large and small intestines, and then you come out, right? So from the inside, a human being is like a donut. If you want to go scientifically and then want to make it layman terms, we're like a donut. We're an empty hole inside, you know. Satan went in and came out the other end. Which one he went in and which one he came out, don't ask me. I'm just telling you what it says. He went in one end, came out the other end, and he told the angels at the time, because he was an angel at the time, he hadn't turned into Satan yet. He said, don't worry about this. What Allah is creating is not like him. He is hollow from the inside. In other words, Adam is hollow from the inside. Don't worry about him. He's not solid like a statue. So Allah is a statue, and Adam is the opposite of that statue. He's not hollow from the inside. Hence, Allah is a statue, but they don't want you to know because, that's a big problem in Islam if they admit. The whole thing falls apart. But back to what we were discussing here. I have to sometimes give you guys some further information because you guys don't have the Islamic background foundation. So I got to tell you certain things so you're in the know, or else Muslims will take advantage of you. With regard to imitating, with regard to imitating, Ala Adha al-Diha said, non-Muslims living in Muslim rule in celebrating Christmas, Mundi, Thursday, and Nowruz, that is a reprehensible bid'ah innovation. It's reprehensible. We have to punish you for doing it. Punish. How can you do something like that in an Islamic land? It goes against Islam. You're going to be punished. Who this day celebrates Monday and Thursday? Monday was a god for the people of Greece. So was Thursday. But as far as I know, the Greeks all turned Christian and they all became Greek Orthodox. All of them. The whole country is Greek Orthodox. You don't find anyone who's not Greek Orthodox. So who celebrates Monday and Thursday? Especially in an Islamic land. How many people that follow the old gods of Greece that live in an Islamic land? None. There isn't even one that you can find in Greece, let alone outside of Greece. Anyhow, therefore, if a Muslim celebrates it as a religious observance, and acts of ignorance, he is to be rebuked, and you have to teach him. Well, have you noticed every time they bring up Nowruz, the New Year of the Iranians, they also bring Christianity up with it? Did you notice that? There is a reason for that. And then he continues giving you his ruling of why it's blameworthy if you're going to celebrate the Nowruz or Christmas for that matter. You're not even allowed to do it just to make your children happy, okay? Don't give any of these kind of things. If someone did and they didn't know, pull them aside, give them a discussion. Tell him in that discussion that what he's doing is not good at all. He's going against Allah and all this nonsense. Tell them all that. It's all in here. And then he continues that we also read in the magazine booklet of Al-Jami al-Islamiyah. Again, he goes back to that one. He talks about it. That the Christians, Christians, it's about you. The Christian festival known as the Holy and the Great Thursday. By Thursday, he means Easter. Ooh. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have Easter. They just named Easter, right? When is Easter? March 31st. When was the Persian New Year? Persian New Year was yesterday, March 20th. How many days apart are they? 11. The king of Iran stretched New Year's for at least 5 days. What does Easter and New Year's of Iran have in common? Living became victorious over death. Jesus was victorious over death. The Son of God rose from the death, conquered death. You see, back in the day, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, the Jews, they were told about the coming of Jesus. In the Old Testament, they told them. But you know, the Old Testament was written during the time of Moses and after Moses. And so you got a lot of hints about who is Jesus, what will he do, what will his enemies do, how much they will pay to find him, and so on and so forth. But when you look at those pre-time of Moses, when they talked, when they told you about Jesus and the coming of Jesus, they kept it simple. And there's only 2 nations that talk about the coming of Jesus, that wait for the coming of Jesus. One of them everybody knows is the Jewish, the Israelis. They're waiting for Jesus even until today. They're waiting. They're waiting for the Messiah to come. The Messiah is coming. The Messiah is coming. The Messiah is coming. Some of them believed that the Messiah came. They recognized Jesus. That's how the rest of the world became Christian. Some Jews, they're still waiting for Jesus. Well, in the old days of Iran, when there was no such thing as books, books is a very modern thing. Before we wrote on paper, people were writing it on cowhide and animal hides, and before that, even on stones. You can't make a book out of stones. Back thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, maybe it goes like 10,000 years ago, there was no book to write it on. It was verbal. You would have to teach it to people. You told it in a way of story. You told it in a way that people can understand. New Year Day for the Iranians. Spring conquers death. In the winter, the leaves of the trees fall. The flowers die. Vegetation dies. Food is scarce. You go through hardship. But then with the spring, life returns. Plenty of food. Comfort is there. Now let's see what the names of Adam to Noah say about Jesus. The name Adam to Noah tells you about humans, mankind, appointed mortal sorrow. The blessed God shall come down. Teaching. What is he teaching? He's teaching you about. His death shall bring the disappearing comfort and rest. Sounds a lot like what you do during the new day for the Iranian holiday. You sit around with friends and family, you have a dinner, you're waiting for that time, the arrival. You put away anger and fights. You know, people that don't speak to each other, they speak to each other. They put a rest to disagreements. It's a day of happiness. You make the little kids happy. You give them gifts. Jesus gave you a gift too through Easter. The gift of forgiveness. He forgave your sins. He bought it with his death. He paid the crime for you. He made it so that no one has to go and slaughter animals anymore to pay for their debts. It is a teaching of Jesus coming. Rafi Poor asks, why are they all waiting? What does it matter? What does it matter? It matters because we're waiting for the Savior of the world. We're waiting for Jesus. It's just that they didn't mention him by name. The name got dropped over time. There was no books at that time to put it into so that everyone knows, oh, this is who it is. It's something that people did through actions. They kept alive through actions. Just like the names kept the story alive through names, the meaning of the names. It's not a joke that I put it on the cup. And it's not a joke that on the other side I put God bless. Because United States is a country founded on Christian ethics. Iran, the kingdom of it, is founded on Christian ethics before Christianity was even a thing. Zoroastrianism is a pillar stone to Christianity. Not this modern Zoroastrianism, the classical Zoroastrianism. Modern Zoroastrianism has been changed. Islam came into it, penetrated it. Others took stuff from Hindus and they added to it. But classical Zoroastrianism was a pillar stone. They are the ones that provided peace and security for the Jews so that the Jews can continue to teach. A lot of Zoroastrians converted to Judaism in those old days. Zoroastrianism has a lot of symbols about comfort. Fire is a way of comfort. It brings comfort to you. It defeats the cold. It brings you life. Who brings you life? God brings you life. Jesus gives you life. But people don't know because they don't understand. They don't have a foundation of religion. They don't get it. They don't understand it. They can't teach it. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in today. So Raifipur hates the fact that Iranians celebrate victory of life over death. So do the Christians. And that's why these Muslims are so upset about these days. You're not supposed to find out that Easter and the Nowruz have so much in common. You're not supposed to find that out. But Dr. Musawwar is here. He will teach you. He will share that knowledge with you. He will make sure that there are thousands of Dr. Musawwars throughout time that will come after Dr. Musawwar, who will continue the mission of eradicating Islam off of this green earth and making sure that everybody lives in peace and not have to be subjected to terrorism under the sword of Islam, which is the only way Islam is spread. Continuing with the reading here in Al-Muwassuha Al-Fiqhiha, the rulings. Fiqh is from the rulings, you know, the laws that they want to pass, the mullahs, the fatwas they give. We have it in here. It was narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar, the son of Umar, who said, whoever passes through the land of the non-Arabs, because the Arabs were the Muslims at that time. So anyone who's not an Arab, who's not a Muslim during that time, this is right after the death of the Prophet of Islam. Whoever passes through them and celebrates Nowruz and Maharajan, and imitates them until he dies in that state, and will be gathered on the day of resurrection. Oof. Look. Remember that Raif Poor? He was making a joke. He was making fun of Nowruz. If you go to the washing room at that time, you're going to be stuck in there for a whole year. You know, every day you're going to the wash. Well, it looks like in Islam, you gave the verdict that if you go and you celebrate that day, you'll become an infidel like them. It'll last until the day of judgment. Meaning when you die in the grave, it'll still be with you. Looks like a lot of these Islamic rulings passed their way into Zoroastrianism, and through Zoroastrianism into the cultures of the Iranians living today. And they believe these superstitious mumble jumble junk that they learned from Islam, and they incorporate it into their daily lives. You're going to be stuck there. You got to clean your house. If you don't clean your house will be dirty the whole year. No, it won't. You can clean it the next day. But, you know, according to Islamic teachings, you're going to be stuck until the day of judgment as a non-Muslim because you celebrated the New Year of the Iranians, which is really like Easter. It's the same message as Easter. Just like Eastern Orthodox celebrate their Christmas on a different day than the Protestants do. It's still Christmas. It's still celebrating Christmas. Just like we sent the 3 wise men to go to visit Jesus when he was born. When the 3 wise men of the Zoroastrian religion came to celebrate the birth of Jesus. And we'll get to that a little bit later on. Allah may be glorified. You need Allah to be glorified? Wow. I mean, glorification is given from God to below him. God is already the glorified one. When you say Allah may he be glorified, who are you praying to make your God Allah glorified? You pray for somebody else. Like, I'll ask somebody to pray for me. I can't do it for myself. You know, I'm nobody. I need supernatural power to do whatever it is that I'm asking for. I need a supernatural being to glorify me. So now, Jim can ask for me to be glorified. Then the God is going to glorify me based on the prayer done for me. When you are saying, may Allah be glorified, Allah may he be glorified, be exalted. Who's going to glorify him? You just asked for him to be glorified. You just made a prayer for Allah. So that means there should be another God above Allah who's going to do that for Allah. I'm telling you, they have multiple gods, but they don't want you to know. They tell you they have one, but they lie. Continuing on. Such as the directions to be faced when praying. Other religions have this apparently, according to the Muslims. In the other religions, during their celebrations, they have to face a certain way. See? We have appointed religious ceremonies. So there is no difference between their participation in the festivals and their participation in any other religious ceremony or practice. Going along with them in the entire festival is going along with them in disbelief. You cannot do it because you'll be in disbelief. You cannot not believe, that Jesus came and died for your sin. You cannot believe in that. It's not possible. You'll become an infidel. Now you see why in their conquest, they made sure to eradicate, commit genocide on all the people. They can't have you say your thing. You have to submit to them, the Muslims. There's no freedom over there. When you find people in the West who sugarcoat the words, when you find people in the West who want to have a debate with a Muslim and they don't catch the Muslim by the tail and hold them there, they see you as weak. They think they can hit you in the head. They think they won against you. They think that their God made you weak to them. That's why you're not using the real words and you're sugarcoating and you're letting them off the hook. That's why I don't leave them off the hook. That's why I catch them by the tail and I throw them in the cage. With Muslims, you have to be harsh. You have to be like Christian Prince. You have to be like Rob Richard. You have to be like Ahmed, the ex-Muslim. You got to catch him. You got to be like Dr. Musawat. Catch him. Hold him. Don't let him go. Don't give him an option to run out. They look for 100 holes. They jump. They jump like a grasshopper from point to point to point to point to try to escape. Don't let them escape. Hold them to it. That's why we're reading this. We're reading this to point to you what they say, how they put others down, how they look at other people. And then we're going to answer it. Ghadi Khan, he's going to tell you his fatwa, his statement on what you do about Nowruz. On the day of Nowruz, if a man buys something and he does not buy on any other day, he bought something he didn't buy on the other days. Oh my. And if his intention is doing so to venerate that day as a disbelievers do, so on that day, let's say he bought a t-shirt to wear because, it's a holiday. That's what we're talking. We're talking about something simple. Then it constitutes disbelief. He became a disbeliever, ladies and gentlemen. Disbeliever. But if he does that by way of extravagance and having fun and not out of veneration for that day, then it does not constitute disbelief. If someone gives a gift to someone on that day of Nowruz, do so out of veneration. Oh my goodness. Rather, he only does it because it is the custom of the people. He only gave a gift because it's custom of people. Amazing. This guy can read your mind. I mean, he knows why you give gifts. You didn't give the gift because you wanted to be nice to somebody. You wanted to cheer them up. You wanted them to feel like someone cares for them. Put a smile on their face. Do something small for the person. No. You didn't give a gift for that. According to Mr. Khan over here, he read your mind. The only reason why you give a gift is because others are giving gifts. So you decided to give a gift. Don't you like the Muslims? They can read your mind. They can read your mind and give an answer on your behalf and then tell you what to do based on the answer they gave you, based on them reading your mind and telling you what you thought you thought. Amazing. Continuing. Let's see what happens. But you should not do on that day things that he would not do before or after that day. Ooh. He should avoid imitating the disbelievers. Ibn al-Qasim says, giving gifts to a Christian on the occasions of the festivals and regarding it as coming under the heading of the venerating of festivals and helping him in his disbelief. You caught that? The reason why you shouldn't give a gift to a Christian on a Christian holiday is because you're promoting that day for him. He's going to still stay in that religion. You got to cut off the gifts so he doesn't stay Christian no more. You hear that? That's why in the West, it's important to say Merry Christmas, not Happy Holidays. What Happy Holidays? Every Tom, Dick, and Harry wants to bring their holiday and attach it to Christianity to get some attention, to knock something off from Christianity. The Jews have the Hanukkah. They never tell anybody Happy Holiday. They turn to each other and they say Happy Hanukkah. But even the Jews know the bigger one is Christian. It's Christmas. It's the Mass of Christ. It's the coming of Christ. I mean, the whole world runs on Christ. Your computer runs on Christ. The whole entire history of human being runs on Christ. You have the era before Christ and the era after Christ. I mean, it's Christ that makes the marking. Your calendar's on Christ. Your pay is based on the calendar, which is based on Christ. Your names are based on Christ. Your laws are based on Christ. Your everything is based on Christ. But when it comes to recognizing it, you want to say Happy Holiday. You're following these guys. You want to cut off the Christian holidays. Just as it's not permissible to imitate the disbelievers in their festivals, he says, one should not help a Muslim who is imitating them to do that. Rather, he should be told not to do that. Tell him to. If someone invites people to a meal, such as we do on Nowruz, right? Families invite each other over, friends invite each other over. They want to have a meal together, be around each other. Now we're going to find out. To a meal or a gathering on the occasion of their festival, contrary to his usual habit, his invitation should not be accepted. A Muslim should not go to any of these things, you know? You're not allowed. How can you be with these people? I mean, when you go to a gathering, when you're invited to a gathering, you sit down and you bake bread with someone, you tend to want to become friends with that person. You tend to want to become close with that person. Well, Islam can't become close with you. Islam is at war with you. Islam wants to kill the Christian. Islam wants to kill the Iranian. They don't want to be close to you. There's no way he can come to your program. You see? It's in their own words. They write this, not me. This is the words of Ibn al-Qasim. Why they say Ibn and not bin? Bin is when the person is directly your kid, biological. Ibn is when you were adopted, meaning you had like 100 parents. Nobody knew who your father was. You had 100 fathers, and then eventually someone came and married your mother in a FUCKING contract. You're using the word marriage loosely. and then they raised you and you became an ibn. So this man, Al-Qasim, who had 100 fathers, is now teaching you about how you should hate the Christians. Huh? And the Iranians, of course. If a man gives a gift on the occasion of the festivals, contrary to his habit at other times, apart from this festival, his gift should not be accepted. Especially if the gift is something that would help one to imitate them, such as giving candles and the likes at Christmas. Interesting. We reach Christmas time. You see, the Iranians, they have a holiday that they have in the middle of winter, on the longest night of winter. They have a program called the Night of Yelda. The Night of Yelda is a night when they get together, they eat fruits, they tell stories, they have fun. They spend the whole night in waiting because they believe, from this point on, winter's coming to an end. As so they say. But the same tree that they use for the Night of Yelda, we see the same tree during Christmas celebrations used by the Christians. You see, the Night of Yelda was a night when the three wise men sat together. They came up with the idea. They calculated based on the Torah, which they were able to see, because Iranians, Zarathustra and the Jewish lived side by side for thousands of years. They were able to come up and predict from what they saw in the Old Testament and from what they knew from that time of when they can predict the birth of Jesus. You see, Yelda has a lot to do with Jesus and his coming. But unfortunately, no one tells you that part because, again, word of mouth being passed on eventually came to an end when countries got invaded, when you're under a different regime that doesn't want you to talk in the Persian language. Like Alexander's Macedonia, when they forbid the Iranians from teaching their kids Persian. When they destroyed a lot of Iranian artifacts, when they destroyed Iran and it had to be rebuilt, some knowledge is lost. When the Arabs conquered Iran and forbid Iranians from speaking in Persian, and a lot was lost for several hundred years. You see, you lose that which is translated from mouth to mouth, from mouth to ear to mouth, until a book comes. But now we can put the puzzles together and we can see that they lay hand in hand. The Yelda night for the Iranians is a direction towards the coming of Christ, which then the Protestants and the Catholics celebrate in winter too. Easter and the New Year, they're similar to each other within a very short period of time. Sounds like the Zoroastrian religion was trying to get people prepared for the coming of Christ, just like the Jewish religion. It is essential to punish those who imitate the disbelievers in their festivals, end quote. So he wants you to be punished. How dare you do stuff like them? Thank God for most of you in the English language, you're sitting out in the West. Sheikh Ibn Jabirin, another man with over 100 fathers. Oh. It is not permissible to celebrate innovative festivals such as Christmas and the Nowruz. Festivals that have been innovated by Muslims, such as Prophet's birthday, not just prophet, prophets, any of the prophets. Birthday in Rabiul Awwal, the Isra in Rajab, and so on and so on. That includes Eid al-Qadir that Rajavipur was telling you about. You're not allowed to celebrate any of these. What you guys doing celebrating these things? Huh? You're not allowed. It's haram. It is not permissible to eat from the food which the Christians or the mushrikeens, those who believe in more gods, prepare on the occasion of the festivals. Don't eat their food even. You're at war with them. If you do, you're creating and you're encouraging them to continue their bid'ah, their bad behaviors. The man-made things that they've come up with. It's interesting they say that, but Nowruz is older than all of them. They have no proof that it was made by a man. Christmas is older than the whole of Islam. And then no man made it. I mean, God came down on earth. What man made it? End of quote from this guy too. And in conclusions, the muftis working at this site want to tell you that it is not permissible for Muslims to celebrate Nowruz or to mark this occasion by holding celebrations, making special foods, or giving gifts. And of course, as usual, Muslims cannot leave anything by saying that Allah knows best, because, you know, Allah is the only one who can really say something, but Allah is a statue. He can't say nothing. But they talked about Christmas. You see, when it comes to Muslims, money is worth more than their God. Hence, you can buy Muslims with money and they will do whatever you want for money. I mean, the guy will give you his wife for money. If you don't believe me, go to Pakistan and you'll see for yourself. They'll tell you, come to my house, and you will, you know, you think the guy's so hospitable, he wants to, because he found out you're from England or, you know, France or United States, come to my house, oh, I feed you, I will do this, I will do that. And then before you leave, he tells you, you know, you ate the food, you got to give me some money for that. You slept in the room, you got to give me some money for that. It's not free. And then in the night, after you ate the food before you went to sleep, he offered you his wife. And if you took the offer, you guessed it. There is more money you have to pay. Go for yourself and find out. This link is from Arab News. I mean, I didn't make it up. This is not something Dr. Musawad made up. This is a legitimate news station in Saudi Arabia. Arab News. Saudi Arabia. Christmas spirit. Bridging culture and festive celebrations. In Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia. They are celebrating Christmas. Why? MBS said, you know, we're going to run out of oil one day. We need tourism. We need the Europeans to come. We need the Americans to come. We need the people of Australia to come. We need everybody to come. They got to bring their mullah, their dineros, their dollars, their pounds. We need the money, man. They got to spend it here. I'm building all these new cities. We need money. And as you can see, they're selling the Yalda tree of the Iranians, which then the Christians use during Christmas. That's a mall in Saudi Arabia. This is not New York. For those who want to see, this is a mall in Saudi Arabia, selling trees, decorated. This is the tree in the mall for the mall. You can see people walking around. The Arabs are right there, and you know. Another link for you, Gulf News. This one is from UAE. Yes, UAE, right beside Iran at the Persian Gulf, huh? Which they have so much hatred for the Iranian. They can't even say Persian Gulf News. They have to say Gulf News. You know, throw the Persian off of it because they don't want to see us. That's how much they hate us. Okay. Gulf News, meaning Persian Gulf. How Emirates celebrate Christmas in the UAE. There you have it, a picture. I mean, he's wearing Santa Claus's hat. He's got his Christmas tree. He's with his brother and his friend. Who is this guy? Before the Muslims tell you Christians excuses, oh, they're probably Christians. No, 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 no. His name is Ahmad Imad. He's an artist, for example. Him and his brother and his friend, they celebrate Christmas. He's 24 years old. If he's not married, he probably lives with his parents, meaning his parents are also celebrating. And as you can see, it goes on and on about his celebration of Christmas. So when it comes to money, money, they'll do anything. They'll sell their religion down the tubes because it's money. I mean, you need money. Who cares about a statue named Allah when you can have money? Giving a gift to another person, another ordinary person, is against the law. But if the mullahs and their kings can make money off of Christmas festivals, by all means, open to everybody. Go ahead and spend your money. Put a tree every month in your house if you want to, if it's Christmas. More money for them every year. With that being said, we're going to bring you a message from the former Queen of Iran, the Queen of the Kingdom of Iran, who is still alive. And to us Iranians, she is still our queen. Not this Islamic Republic of Iran. I'm going to open it and share that screen with you. Unfortunately, it's in Persian. So for you, the English-speaking viewers, I will have to continuously stop it and translate it for you so that you will understand what she says and what is her New Year's message for the Iranian people. I think it's important for the English-speaking people to also have access to understanding what she says so that you will know that when you hear in the news only that there's an Islamic Republic of Iran, and they tell you that the people are behind the Islamic Republic of Iran, it's all lies. When some of the people that are defending Christianity and targeting Islam tell you on their channels that still in Iran, 40% of the Iranians are backing the government, they get that from what the Islamic Republic of Iran likes to say, which is a lie, because the voting that just took place for presidency in Iran showed that less than 2% of the public went to vote, which means 98% of the public is against the Islamic Republic of Iran and Islam. So they are mostly supporters of the Queen and the King of Iran. But let's listen to her and see what she said.
نوروز باستانی و سال نو را به شما هم میهنان عزیزم و به همه مردمانی که این آیین کهن ایرانی را در سراسر جهان جشن میگیرند شاد باش میگویم.
She says this Nowruz of a national day for the Iranians, whether it's being celebrated by the Iranians or from people outside of Iran living in other countries that are celebrating it, that is so dear to the Iranian people and those who celebrate it. She wants to formally tell all of you and say that may this be a happy day for all of you.
من در این لحظات در کنار هفسین نوروزی به یاد سیل زدگان سیستان و بلوچستان هستم.
She says, while I have the hafsin that I was telling you about set up on her table, she's thinking about the people in the province of Sistan and the Baluchistan of Iran who've been hit by floods. Normally around this time of year, they always get hit by floods due to the destruction of that land by the Islamic Republic of Iran and it not fixing it for the people, putting the people's lives at risk. Her heart and mind is with the people.
که سال نو را در شرایطی نامناسب آغاز میکنند.
And that they have to celebrate the new year in circumstances that is very hard for people to go through.
به یاد شیرزنان و دلیر مردانی هستم که به جرم آزادی خواهی، میهن پرستی و دادخواهی در بند هستند.
She's thinking about the brave Iranian women and the youth who stand up for their human rights and want their human rights against the Islamic Republic of Iran that suppresses them, kills them, takes them as prisoners. She's thinking of all of them.
و به یاد همه مادرانی هستم که جگرگوشه هایشان را در راه آزادی و سربلندی میهنمان از دست داده‌اند.
And she thinks about the mothers of all those whose kids have been killed in the way of righteousness by the Islamic Republic of Iran, who have to go through the suffering and the anguish of knowing that they're celebrating a new year while their kids are no longer here.
من به دشواری‌های زندگی شما هم میهنانم در ایران آگاهم. میدانم رژیمی که نان را از سفره شما برمی‌دارد و جوانان شما را به قتل می‌رسانند تاب و توانتان را گرفته است.
She says, I know and I'm aware that this regime, this Islamic Republic of Iran, is taking the food off of your tables and making your meals smaller and smaller based on the actions that they take that puts restrictions on Iran, and Iran's money's value drops to the point where people can't afford anything. And rather, it turns around and kills the children of the people of Iran. And she knows the misery that people go through while trying to hold this day so dear.
سفره‌هایتان هر روز کوچکتر می شود و با وجود گرانی روزافزون به سختی می توانید نوروز را جشن بگیرید. اما فراموش نکنید که ما ایرانیان در درازای تاریخ خود همواره توانسته ایم با ایستادگی بر فرهنگ غنی و با تکیه بر اراده و همبستگی ملی از سختی ها عبور کنیم.
And she says, but don't forget us Iranians, we have gone through periods in time. She's talking about the invasions that we've gone through, that we were able to keep our traditions. We were able to keep our holidays. We were able to stand strong and steadfast to our beliefs. And we were able to suppress and get past those who wanted to keep us down. And we were able to raise our heads above them and reclaim our lands. Meaning Alexander the Macedonian with his Greek army. Meaning the Muslims the first time around. Meaning the Mongols that came and went.
پاسداشت نوروز و دیگر آیین‌های ایرانی یکی از روش‌های مهم ایستادگی ما در برابر مهاجمان و اشغالگران بوده است. باور دارم که این بار نیز نور بر تاریکی پیروز خواهد شد و شما ملت بزرگ ایران میهن و شکوه از دست رفته‌تان را باز پس خواهید گرفت.
She says, and I believe that again, light will conquer darkness. And once again, you, the people of Iran, will be able to come up victorious and reclaim Iran from those who are transgressors, meaning the Islamic Republic of Iran.
نوروزتان پیروز.
And she says in final, Noruzatan Piruz, meaning your New Year ceremony be victorious. And with that being said, we will go to her son, the current king of Iran. By the constitution of the kingdom of Iran, he is the king of Iran, whether people want to believe it or not, whether his enemies in the West who are Persian speakers call him RC and try to put him down, or whether others in Fox News who try to show him respect call him Crown Prince. 40 years ago, when he took over after the sad death of his father, he became the king of Iran. And today, if he wants to or not, he is still recognized as the king of Iran, because the Islamic Republic of Iran is made out of 250 Arab families who have no ties to Iranian land, culture, language, and all they do is genocide of the Iranians. So the only choice is the king of Iran. We're going to hear what he says, and I will translate it for you as well. It is important for you to hear him too.
همیهنان عزیزم، فرارسیدن نوروز این یادگار ماندگار نیاکان ما را به شما شادباش میگویم.
He says, my countrymen, my dear countrymen, the celebrations of this New Year's, I say to you that you should be happy with it. That, in other words, if we were to translate it properly into English, we would have to alter the words in a different way, because if not, it comes out literal as be happy about it. But in reality, it means may it bring happiness to you, is what he's trying to say.
نوروز نمادی از پیوستگی فرهنگی و تاریخی ما ایرانیان است.
It says Nowruz is a symbol of our history and of our culture, of us Iranians.
یادآور این که از پی سرمای جانسوز و تاریکی زمستان، نور بار دیگر جان جهان را گرما و روشنایی می‌بخشد.
He says that it is a reminder to us that from the coldness of winter, that light once again revives the whole world. Similar to the lecture we just covered, where Dr. Musawad enlightened you regarding how life is victorious over death, and how this is really about Jesus conquering death. And Jesus is for the whole world.
سالی که گذشت سالی بود پرفراز و نشیب. شاید در آغاز سال سرکوب جنایتکارانه رژیم و به بار ننشستن فداکاری‌های جاویدنامان خیزش مهسا برخی از شما را دلسرد کرد.
He says this was a troublous year for us. We saw the Islamic Republic of Iran crack down and kill a lot of the youth. We saw that happening with the killing of Mahsa Amini that he refers to, and the protests that took over after that, when there are thousands upon the thousands that were killed. It wasn't 1,500. No, the number was much, much, much higher. The number was so high that even during COVID-19 at the beginning, they were burying the people that they had killed and kept in freezers as deaths due to COVID. But in reality, they were killed long before it. From that time till now, we've seen over and over and over and over, every single year, we've seen the same killing. Continue.
اما با خردمندی و اراده ملی پرچم مبارزه را برافراشته نگه داشتید و در پایان سال در سیرک انتخابات شکستی بزرگ را به جمهوری اسلامی و سرکرده اش تحمیل کردید.
But you kept the flag standing. You kept the flag by the methods of keeping the traditions alive. And by showing in this circus election that they recently had in Iran, you showed by not going and not voting that Iranians as a whole do not agree and do not support the Islamic Republic of Iran in Iran.
و گامی مهم در راه آزادی میهن برداشتید. سالی که پیش روست سال عملگرایی و کوشش و فداکاری دوچندان است. سال بالا زدن آستین‌های همت و به پا کردن چکمه‌های استقامت.
He says, and you showed with your actions that you've taken the first step towards putting an end to this Islamic Republic of Iran. He says this year that's coming, this year that we are in now, is the year where you roll up your sleeves and you wear your boots because you have to take action. Let's continue with what he says.
سال عبور از آنها که بخشی از مشکلند و به هم پیوستن آنها که به دنبال حل مشکلند. سال فراتر رفتن از امید و رسیدن به باور.
So this is the year that we have to bypass a bunch of people who are problematic. You have to put them aside. Not fall for their 40 years of lies. Like put them aside. And this is the year for those who have plans for the future, to free the people for the future.
سال در انداختن طرحی نو. ما 45 سال است که در شب بلند زمستانی خود به سر میبریم. اما امروز حتی پاسداران ضحاک نیز شمیم نور را حس می‌کنند.
It says, we, the Iranian people as a whole, we've been in 45 years of winter. winter represents death. We've been in 45 years of death under this regime, the Islamic Republic. But he says, today the light has hit even some of those who are the soldiers of this regime. And this regime is an evil regime. Therefore, he uses the word Zahaq, because Zahaq in history was an evil man. He's the enemy of God. So the soldiers of the enemy of God today, some of them even have felt the misery of the regime and are changing their minds.
و تنین گام‌های رهایی ایران قلب‌های تیرشان را هراسناک ساخته است. پیام نوروز برای ما روشن است. شب می‌رود و روز می‌آید.
He says the message of Nowruz is crystal clear for us. The darkness of night goes and the light of day comes.
تاریکی می‌گذرد و نور پردیس ایران را دگرباره روشن خواهد کرد و گرما خواهد بخشید.
He says darkness will eventually go away, but the light, when it shines down on us, it will bring that comfort of warmth with it. Wasn't it that same comfort of warmth that we're talking about, that Jesus is bringing with him, conquering death and paying for all our debts as long as we believe in him? Very interesting, the words he's using to describe Nowruz and the words that are there in Easter to describe Jesus.
نوروزتان پیروز، آینده ایران.
He says, may your New Year's Day be a victorious one and the end be with Iran. Not end to Iran, end with Iran, meaning we will all end with a glorious Iran. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, we'll bring this to an end. If you have learned anything from it, if you feel that this was a useful discussion and that you learned something, use your finger, click on that subscribe button, join our program, promote it to others, tell them to subscribe and to send it to others and tell them to also subscribe. Don't forget to leave some messages underneath this program. When the program ends, hit the like button. Also, underneath this program, you will find a link tree. In my link tree, if you click on it, you'll find me on the other social medias. And you can then go and click on those and you can subscribe there as well. We discuss things that we can't discuss here on some of the other programs because simply YouTube banned it. But everything we have is for a reason, and everything we show has proper purpose. So, till the next program in the English language.